It's Greg Rolls On again, keeping the wheels turning. I want to thank everybody for their prayers for my father-in-law, Sid. He is still in the hospital. They intubated him about 5 a.m. roughly this morning. He wanted them to do that sooner because it's just such a struggle to breathe on the BiPAP with double pneumonia, COVID. I'm not sure what strain, but hopefully it's the most recent one because it's the least, bad outcome, typically speaking. But he's got other comorbidities and stuff, so keep those prayers coming, and we really appreciate it. And then last night I was also informed my grandmother had a fall on her. If she had a fall last night, because I'm not sure about the time, my dad just informed me of this a little while ago, that she had a fall and broke her hip, and they've already taken her to the hospital. My Aunt Paula did, and got her surgery. Obviously, there'll probably be subsequent surgery, but just the small procedure to begin with, and she's doing fine. But that's horrible because it's the day after her 90th birthday. So keep her in your prayers, and of course, my Uncle Mark. We don't talk that often, but I still love him, and he just beat cancer not that long ago, and he's been in remission, and of course that's a lifelong thing once you've dealt with it. And he has now come down with COVID too, but I don't know the severity of that particular situation. But basically, just thank you for the prayers and keep them coming. If you believe in the power of prayer, God's the almighty physician, and we could use those. And if you're going through the same thing in your family, you're not alone, and I'm praying for you as well. In general, praying for our country, our service members. Everything just seems like it's crashing at once, but perspective is everything, and I know where everybody's going that I've spoken about, and I know where I'm going, and everything's going to be fine, so enjoy the ride, as they say. So anyway, on to business. I'm going to give you a rundown of the loads I'm going to do this week. Business-wise, this is if everything goes according to plan, no loads canceled, no maintenance issues, weather doesn't stop me from achieving these things on the timeline I have with these booked loads. Let me get a drink real quick because there's going to be a lot of talking in a short amount of time. I'm making this a short one. We are looking at an insane rate per mile for a Schneider IC. Now, I know what you're saying, 65, 35, you keep the 65. All the numbers I ever talk about with money for a load, that's what you see. You don't see the 35%. What you see is what your truck revenue is before your bills, which would be your fuel if you use Schneider's fuel card, your permits and plates every week, your tolls once a month, your IFTA once a month that comes out. Everything else belongs to you. And then, of course, you have your write-offs on your personal side of things. So the numbers I talk about are what your load pays on your settlement. Guys, these rates are stupid right now, and I've been very fortunate or blessed, and things are working out right now. I mean, I got other little problems. My SPAR heater, I turn it on, and it says it's on, but it doesn't fire up at all. So I'm pretty sure I could turn to that and figure it out myself, but I'm too tired, and I don't know. We'll figure it out. So I idle the truck long enough to get it real hot in here, crack the windows a little bit so I don't die, and then I turn the truck off, and I can make it 8 hours in the bunk, and then I get out and stretch and walk around a little bit anyway. But other than that, everything else is going good with the old truck. So we truck on. I left the house day before yesterday. Wednesday, I picked up in Groveport, Ohio, and I went to Front Royal, Virginia with it, and I couldn't deliver till the next morning on the 27th, but that was 539.3 miles and paid $1,647.90. That's a total of $3.06 a mile. After I did that, bear with me, I'm pulling my little spreadsheet around here. I picked up in Winchester after that and went to Lexington, Kentucky with it. After I delivered yesterday, I also picked up and delivered in Lexington. That was 494.9 miles that paid $1,469.98 for $2.97 a mile over all miles. After that, I started heading to Horse Cave, Kentucky, which is currently where I sit getting loaded. I made it about 35 miles from here, and I took a shower and spent the night at the Pilot up in Sonora. Horrible Pilot. Then again, they all are. The people were nice, but the shower worked. That's about all I can say. for that place. Anyway, I'm now picking up in Horse Cave, Kentucky, and I'm headed to Moorhead after that. It's 299.8 miles across the Parkway back over there, and pays $866.93 for a total rate per mile of $2.89 per mile. And this is off the money it's paid to me, not the 35, including the 35 Schneider keeps on the front end. I'll pick up, and that'll deliver today, and I'll also turn around and pick up in Mount Sterling, Kentucky, and I'm going to truck on until I get, unless they take forever to load me here, I'm going to make it to Monroe and deliver again. It's only 164.5 total miles for $474.11. It pays $2.88 a mile average, all miles including deadhead, guys. All these averages I'm giving you per mile is with deadhead. So after I deliver in Monroe, I'm going to try to get to Reynoldsburg or close by to spend the night. And I'm going to get live loaded tomorrow, probably, just before noon, because I've been running afternoons to evenings. Hardest time of the day to park, but I always make it work. I'll probably stop at a place to get groceries tonight because I got to do that, or get them in the morning before I start. But we're getting loaded in Reynoldsburg, Ohio, live load, and delivering on a drop in Winchester, Virginia tomorrow. 438.4 miles, $1,460.17 for a total average rate per mile of $3.33. If the weather keeps allowing me to do that, I'm going to then pick up in Inwood, West Virginia, probably tomorrow as well after I deliver in Winchester. And I will probably not make it all the way to Pittston, PA, but we're going to get close if the weather permits. That's 226.8 miles, $940.38 for a total rate per mile of $4.15. That's a homer. Doesn't happen often. And then I'm going to pick up in Easton, PA, that same day I deliver in Pittston, and I'm coming right back to Pittston for 139.2 miles. Let me see here. 139.2 miles, pays $501.18. That's an average of $3.60 a mile. This is an uncharacteristic week for me. Obviously, here are all these high rates per mile on these loads. I also am on a live load, and I have 5 pre-plans. The next load after that second one that picks up in Easton and goes back to Pittston, I have one booked, and it goes from Myerstown to Stewart's Draft, Virginia. Myerstown, PA to Stewart's Draft, Virginia. But that's going to end up, that's a Tuesday thing. So this is all by Monday. Now, you want to be ideally in a situation where you're not worried about what you get paid. Your settlement shows up Thursday, you get paid on Friday. You don't want to worry about that week to week if you can get into a situation where you have enough money in your bank account. I'm checking my red light status out here. But you want to get to where you can go month to month. Once you get there, you work on quarter to quarter. Once you get enough money in your bank to where you don't have to worry about a date in a week or a week in a month, and you can worry about the month, now you can go towards a quarter. It takes a lot of stress off because you're not worried about what you can do in these several days. You're worried about what you can do in 30 days and then what you can do in 90 days. Then you can spread it around. You can figure out your home time better. It's a load off on the stress. You can plan your maintenance ahead of time. You can plan your inspections ahead of time. If you need any big purchases or major work, you can take that downtime at home and plan that ahead and build for that over the course of 90 days. So that gives you wide windows on not just appointments for deliveries and pickups, but it'll allow you that time without stress to plan your work, let your vendors that are doing the work or get supplying the parts to know what to have ahead of time. Now, that's just my theory on that, being in this long enough now. But my total rate per mile, if the weather will permit all of that, and no breakdowns, no traffic jams, nothing crazy. I know I saw that bridge collapse in Pittsburgh. It's crazy. But we're not going down Forbes Avenue, so hopefully all's okay. I don't think I got to mess with Pittsburgh. But that's going to be on the week only 2,302.9 miles by Schneider's mileage. That'll vary probably by 100 miles on the hub and the GPS. So I'll get an average rate per mile that's actual at the end of the week. But that's $7,360.61 before I take any fuel or anything out. After my plates and my fixed expenses, though, that's $72.21.82 to the house, to the business. I pay myself on payroll. But it's $72.21.82 That average rate per mile for the entire week is $3.20 a mile for all miles driven. That's ridiculous. So my fuel costs will be down, and my earnings are going to be a little less than my best week, but I get to keep more of it. So that's been a great week if it works out this way. Now, knock on wood, or my spinner knob, or whatever you want to knock on, I pray that goes on, because I plan on going home again based on all the health problems my family's facing. But the reality is, you've got to earn, because that's what allows everything else to go on at home. So that's the balance I'm in right now, and I'm just glad God's given me the opportunity to have a great record-setting week for me, as far as being an IC at 65-35, making that kind of money with a truck that I own now in a short amount of time. And I know you can do it too. So that's why I make these videos, man. So if you want to come over, I got contact information for you. You can contact Nate at SFI, whether you have your own truck or you need one. You can contact Nate at SFI. If you have your own truck, you can contact Schneider. Either way, you can do that over here as your first step. Or if you just want contract freight and you don't want the headache of all that, brokers and all that, you can come over and make some money or take a break for a while. At least it's contract freight, because you never know what the ebbs and flows of the spot is going to do. And I've been studying that a lot and talking to a couple friends about how that's going. So there's a lot more risk inherent in going to the next step, but we're still working towards that. But I can't say a bad thing about coming over here to start or to take a break from whatever else, or just taking the next step. A lot of people might look at it as a lateral move, but this is the numbers that I'm producing. You heard that. I did have a guy that told me on a previous video that I should probably stop moving the date markers on my load searches, because I eliminate a lot of freight that way. Well, I do several passes on a search unless I find something that I really like immediately. And maybe I should clarify that. But the first thing I do is I will do confirmed only loads, and I'll go all the way back to last year sometime, and then a day after I'm available after that next load, and then I will search for confirmed only loads. So I look for the best average rate per mile out of those, and if it goes to an area I want to go to and I still have that wide window to pick that load up, I will do it. But I don't want to spend hours skimming through loads if there's enough good looking loads going to areas I like that are immediate. Those unicorn loads that are so awesome, you can't believe it, typically they're gone immediately, or they get pulled off the board for whatever reason. Either Schneider wants to keep it or whatever. I don't know the behind the scenes thing is. Maybe a broker put it up for Schneider to put it on the board, and then the broker decided against it, or he got a cheaper rate elsewhere. I don't know what all these stories could be on the behind the scenes thing. I'm going to let Schneider speak for themselves when it comes to what happens with those loads, or the brokers. I mean, if you got questions like that, that's a question you need to ask those people when you call. But I move my sliders around, and I'm not going to stop doing it. I don't care how long somebody's been somewhere. That might work for them. That's great. Take that advice too if you want to do that and skim through loads all the time and try to get the perfect situation. I adapt well. That's probably my best asset for me, and the best tool I've had in my toolbox is I don't give up. I take the best rate. I'm not afraid to follow the money. I'll go to Maine. I will go to California. I will go to Florida. I'll go to Texas. Sometimes it bites me in the rump. Sometimes it don't. But my average rate per mile, my average earnings over the course of a month is great here. So that's what's working for me. So if you want to do it your own way, there's no right or wrong way to do it unless your business is failing. And, you know, I've only been here a year and a half, and I did $250,000 my first year. The whole idea between me doing all these searches is I can find the loads that I want to find and still move those sliders and eliminate a lot of loads so I don't have to skim through them. If I don't find what I want looking that far back with confirmed loads and a day ahead, then I'll do I'll do both confirmed and not confirmed on the day I'm available and the day after within a 500-mile radius, and I'll find what's best then. I don't work off of my clock so far ahead, because you don't know what's going to hold you up, and you also don't know how soon you can get it done, and maybe you'll be available sooner. You're knocking yourself out of work that way as well, not just moving your sliders and trying to find the best loads for those appointments. Sometimes the best loads I'm finding are live loads, and live unloads, or just live loads on one end or live unload on one end and drops on the other. These broker loads are paying really good. Contract freight, depending on what it is, pays really good too. So if you're wanting to find drops and hooks all the time, sometimes you're not going to make as much money. I don't care, unless it's somewhere that you get screwed over and you end up sitting there for days or whatever getting loaded, which I don't see that, because 4 or 5 hours, if there's other loads in the area, 3 hours in, I'm looking at the load board. If they haven't touched my trailer and the light's still green, or I'm still sitting in line or whatever, it's not something I typically do, but if I'm tired of the crap and the opportunity presents itself, pull it. My business. Now, they probably don't like that kind of stuff, and they're not always going to work with you that soon, but you don't have to sit there and sit there and sit there. Now, sometimes things are going to happen where you get, shafted on this, that, or the other, but there's always ways to get it on the back end, and they do try to work with you. You don't get screwed hard all the time. I mean, sometimes things, appointments change and you didn't see the message or whatever, and you show up and they're like, well, we can't take you to tomorrow now. I think it's only been twice that's happened to me. And one time it was my fault. I was just tired. I'd run so hard and I forgot the actual appointment time. I usually write it down and have it on the dash. Sometimes there's like a 2 or 3 hour or even 5 or 6 hour window on some of these, but basically I was behind and they had to wait, and I was like, well, I'm gonna take a hit on my average rate per mile. It was over 2. Now it's gonna be like down to $1.80 a mile, but I spent the $300 and I relayed the load because they were like, well, we can't take it till next week. Old boy ain't sitting on it, so I had to learn my lesson there. And then another time the appointment changed and I did not see a message. Now whether that's my fault or not is subjective, but it ended up that I had to relay that load as well, and I was charged for that one too. So you just got to weigh out what's your best option. It's your business. That's the thing. It's hard for people to grasp all the way across the board. It's your business, but it's your business. Okay, so you got to figure out what's best for you in that situation. I can't promise you results. All I can promise you is the opportunity to come and make that money. So if I seem a little aggressive or whatever, I'm just trying to motivate. And whether that's, okay, I'm against it, he's saying this, that, or the other, and his tone is whatever. I lost 1 subscriber yesterday, whatever. Oh, and by the way, thank you, 500 subscribers. I appreciate it. I'm just glad my information's helping. And if you unsubscribe or whatever, peace. I wish the best for you in whatever you do. I told everybody at the beginning of making these videos, I don't talk about that kind of stuff a lot, but I don't pull any punches about what I say. If I feel it, I spit it out, and if you don't like it or you're from a different persuasion, we can have a discussion, or you can just unfollow, because everybody's offended nowadays, right? So that's my load rundown for the week. And again, thank you for the prayers on the personal side. I try to do the sunshine perspective. I try to find the positive in every situation, and I make light out of things as much as possible to keep my sanity. But I love everybody out there, and I want everybody to be successful and have more freedom and happiness, especially truck drivers. We always get crapped on as a brotherhood and a sisterhood out here, okay? Regardless of what kind of clothes you're wearing or what your color of skin is, you can't help things that you're born with. But what you can help, or what you can't change, is who you are on the outside. What you can affect is how your machine works inside. And if you have a work ethic, you have desire, and you just enjoy what you do, then this is the next step for you. Whether it's at Schneider or not, comfort can be the enemy of progress. And I guess that can be true in all things. But if you are content to just drive local because you like your wage, I call it a wage slave now that I work for myself. But if you're happy with that, or if you're over the road and I just like driving, I let them tell me where to go, I like seeing the country, and I get my check every week, and you're comfortable with that, and you don't want all the headache, that's fine. But I want the money, so give me the headache. James told me that at the very beginning. So until the next video, I'll probably do a live in the next 2 days to let everybody know how it's going, especially if I hit weather. I'll put up an advance notice of when I do it. It's for Q&A and just chilling out for a bit, talking to you guys. But until that time, I want you to keep it upright in between the lines, and God bless you.